I am actually live, yeah. Alright, so today I was thinking I could just show you some of my favorite slap bass exercises. I do a lot of different ones. I've got some double thumb coming up for you, some OSP triplets, which is open hammer slap pluck, some speed exercises, some left hand slap stuff. And yeah, really today I just wanted to show you some of my favorite ones. And a lot of these are available on Patreon and Basecamp and Mastering the Masters and all kinds of stuff. Another thing that I want to tell you about is the giveaway that I have going right now, where you can get this bass. It's a $1,500 bass, and the deadline is tonight. And that's all you need to do is just do the link in the description, and you'll get this bass possibly for free and shipped to you. And it's a pretty nice one. Let's try this. Here's the first exercise. This is a simple double thumb one, and I think it'll just get a really nice intro into double thumb. So nothing too crazy, just a little bit of simple double thumb on each string. And now we're just going to do it at a slightly faster tempo. Yeah, Chris, you can practice with your air bass. That's fine. I actually used to do, when I was on tour, kind of a lot just in the van and stuff, I would practice just like visualizing. So even if you're at work right now, you can kind of just like pretend to play along. Just don't let your boss see you, because they might be wondering what is going on. And yeah, you can do this at the fastest tempo as well. It's still not too crazy. Let's try it out. It's the best slap song you've ever heard. Wow. I didn't think that was one of my best songs. I would have thought Elevated might be a bit cooler, but you know what? I'll take it. But yeah, if at any point you have any questions about slap technique or tone or whatever it is, just feel free to let me know and I'll answer it for you. I've always struggled this because I slap with my thumb downward rather than upward. I need to research myself with this technique. Yeah, I actually used to slap with my thumb down as well, kind of flea style. I think a lot of us start like that because it's, you know, a lot of us have our bases low and we love flea, and so we kind of just copy what he does. And it does work pretty decently for sort of flea style bass lines, but if you want to be doing double thumbing and more sort of Victor and Marcus style bass lines, it does help to have your thumb either parallel or up, down. If you try and do these like double thumb exercises with your thumb down, it's just not going to work. So I had to spend about a year retraining my slap technique to be with thumb parallel or up. And it was a bit of a painful process, so try and just get this into your system as early as possible so that you don't have to retrain yourself. How do you change the double thumbing from G string to other strings? Because there's no string to rest on, like where the body, yeah. So double thumbing on the G is definitely the hardest because, like Jonas is saying, when you slap through the string, you don't have another string to land on, like you do on the other ones. So with the G string, you're just like left in no man's land. So the only way I can really say to help with that like my thumb does kind of land on the body of the bass. And I just also make a conscious effort to keep my movements small so that I'm not like kind of going all the way down there, because then it takes so long for your thumb to come back up and it just makes your whole technique like really inefficient and it just makes everything much harder. So try and keep your movements small and you can land on the body of the bass when you're double thumbing on the G string, and both of those things should help. All right, I'll do another exercise. This one's kind of a fun one. It's a double thumb speed exercise. It starts off kind of slow, but it gets crazier and crazier as the exercise goes on. it pretty much just keeps going like that, and it gradually gets slower and slower until by the end it's back at the really slow tempo. So I was seeing some questions about what scale I was using there. I'm using the harmonic minor scale. I decided to pick harmonic minor for that exercise because it's a speed exercise. I felt like it kind of sounded like a final boss battle. I wanted it to sound a little bit evil because it's like this really challenging speed exercise. So I thought I'd pick one of the more evil scales. Sounds very Halloween. Yeah, that's the harmonic minor. If you want to make some evil metal, just throw in some harmonic minor and you're good. Is it easier to tap on fretless? No, it's way, way harder. I wouldn't recommend trying it unless you're really good with tapping already, because it might make you want to give up. How do you change the double thumbing from... Oh, we already had that. How do you change the double thumbing from G? Charles, are you Finnish? I'm half Finnish, actually. I'm not a very good half Finn, though, I have to say. I'm not fluent in Finnish, but I know a little bit. How high do I set my action? It's about this high. I don't know if you can see that, but I generally try to have it as low as I can without the strings buzzing. I really like low action because it just makes slap and tap a lot easier. But if it gets too low, obviously that causes buzzing and then that's annoying. But in general, I just want to have an action that will allow me to play any technique I want at any time. I don't want to have like one bass that's for tapping, one that's for slap, one that's for fingerstyle. I like to just be able to switch in and out between them, as you've seen. And so I have it pretty low. I don't know exactly what it is in terms of like millimeters or anything like that, but it's pretty low. Anyone who's just joining, by the way, I do have a giveaway happening right now. Today's the last day. Midnight tonight is your last opportunity to get this beautiful bite bass. I've played it in a couple of videos. The beef tuning video, the 10 levels of bass. I really like this bass, but I also just want to say thanks to all of you for supporting me. And so I'm giving this one away. If you just tap the link in the description or in the chat, I think, then you'll get this. You'll have a chance of getting this. And if you're the lucky winner, which I'm going to pick at random, then I will ship this to you and you will have a free bass. So don't miss out on that opportunity. Tonight at midnight is the deadline. What makes your bass so metallic at slapping? My Fender Jazz bass does not get the... Well, first, Fender Jazz bass is a really good bass, so you shouldn't feel bad about having a Fender Jazz bass. But yeah, this bass does have quite a bright sound. There's a couple of things that gets it like that. One of them is the active pickups and the EQ. So there's actually two 9-volt batteries in here. So this is like a very active bass. So those two things combined means that it just has a very high and powerful frequency boosting setup. And that in combination with new strings is really important for having a bright sound if that's what you want. New strings, high quality pickups, good active circuitry, and I also use a Quad Cortex by Neural DSP, and that really helps me to get this crisp sound as well. I saw a question earlier about how to mute when you're slapping. And there's a lot of different ways that you can mute. And so I would say the one that I use the most commonly is probably just the left hand muting. So just literally putting the fingers over the strings. Now, you can also use your thumb to mute the E string. I tend not to do that as much because my hands are actually not that big, and it's much harder to do that if you don't have big hands. But if you have big hands, muting with your thumb on the E string can help a lot. Other than that, being really accurate with your right hand is going to help a lot. I often hear people complaining about like getting a lot of excess noise when they're slapping, and a lot of that actually comes from just not slapping the string that you want to be slapping. So like, let's say you're trying to slap the A string, but you're not being that accurate. Well, now you've got the E string involved in there as well, and you're having to work much harder to keep the bass under control. So accurate right hand, use your thumb if you need to, and use your left hand. And yeah, that hopefully should help. Okay, I'll show you another exercise now. What have we got coming up? The left hand plays a big role in slap, and this is an exercise that will help you develop your left hand. Let's do like a medium tempo. So in that exercise, a lot of the work was coming from the left hand because I was doing a lot of hammer-ons. A lot of hammer-ons, a lot of left-hand slaps. So a lot of people think of slap as a right hand exercise, which it is, but also having your left hand in good shape will help you to play much quicker slap, because then you've got both your hands working for you rather than just trying to slap with like only one articulation. So if you get this down, you can start playing at like these kinds of tempos. So it's just much less effort if you've got more articulations to work with in your left hand and your right hand. Do I ever play my LaFay? I do play my LaFay sometimes. I actually really like the CB4 though. I do like the LaFay too. It's a really nice bass. But the CB4, I got to design it exactly how I wanted it. And so I could have like the really deep cutaway. I could have the EQ exactly how I wanted it. Sorry, I thought we'd lost the video there for a sec, but I think we're good. Okay. Let me just see what else we've got now. Double plucking tips. So when it comes to double plucking, I actually find it much easier to practice these in short bursts. So when I first started practicing double plucking, I would try and practice it like really slowly, like. But that actually ended up being harder. I don't know why. For some reason with double plucking, if you do it quicker, just in small bursts, then it allows you to kind of practice it all in one movement. And that somehow is easier. I'll try. I actually have a double popping exercise, which I'll show you, and it kind of uses these little flurries. So we just start off with normal single pops. Now we're on the double pops. Now combining double and single. Now I'll do some bursts. So those last bursts were actually, a lot of people ask me about this one. So you start with an up thumb and then double pluck. I learned those types of things by watching Victor Wooten a lot. There's actually, in my course, Mastering the Masters, there's a whole lesson on Victor Wooten and Marcus Miller and other bassists, but Victor Wooten in particular, he does a lot of these. Like, I think Sinister Minister, he does a lot of that. Something like that. Mastering the Masters is currently 60% off for Black Friday. So if you're interested in learning the techniques of Victor, Marcus, Jacko, Cliff, and all of them, you can get that at 60% off until the 29th. And you'll learn all of those sorts of things. Double plucks, double thumb, everything that you could possibly want to learn about slap. Let's see. Charles, can you please say something in Finnish for us? Coming from a Finnish speaker, I would like to hear, please. I can say some random colors, like keltainen is yellow, sininen is blue, punainen is red, hetkinen is wait a minute. I can say some foods, leipää is bread. I don't have the most useful Finnish vocabulary, but maybe it'll come in handy one day. I will get better at some point. Let's see, any other questions? Can you explain the Wojtek Pilikovsky? Maybe that's how I pronounce it. Fast lick. I'm not sure which one you're referring to. I haven't played that bass line for a long time. Late here, but what do you plan to stream here? I'm just showing you some of my favorite slap exercises, and you can ask me whatever questions you want about slap, tap, whatever you feel like. How to tap in right hand. Yeah, that's a toughie. That's a toughie. It feels really weird at first. Some of the more basic exercises involve just kind of spelling out chords, and then your right hand is playing the top notes. Let's get some reverb going. So all I'm doing there is playing diatonic chords. I was in F. So that's just like a 9 sliding up to a 10. That's the 9. And that's some of the more simple stuff because you're just using like one finger. I would recommend starting with that kind of thing. You know, you can get to slightly more complex chords like major 7s. Dominant 7. But yeah, just, you know, messing around with chords like that's a really good way to start. That's kind of how I started. Once you really graduate past that and you're really trying to nail down your technique and get serious about it, you can start practicing some of these types of exercises. Which I know is super boring and repetitive sounding, but it's really helpful for developing finger strength for tapping. And I did that for many, many hours, and it really helps you to just get your technique down, even though it is a little bit boring at the end of the day. What else have we got? You're welcome. I'm glad I could help you with the tapping. How does Henrik Linder make his solos? That's not a question I could answer very quickly. I do cover Henrik as well in Mastering the Masters. He actually was kind enough to say some nice words about it. Apparently, I'm the second best to teach his licks after him, so I'd say that's a pretty good compliment. Oh. It said the stream had ended for a sec. This is my first time doing a live stream in a very long time, so there might be some interesting moments. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, the Henrik Linder lesson is in Mastering the Masters. I go into detail about how he creates his solos, how he does his techniques and everything. So if you want a detailed deep dive on Henrik Linder, you can get that at Mastering the Masters. Um, why does one of my basses have 3 strings? Well, basically, I had to use one of the strings for something else, and so basically, I had to take off the E string because I just wanted an E string for another bass, but I didn't have any strings with me. So I just had to like take the E string off of this bass and put it on another bass. And then I just thought it looked funny with only 3 strings. And I knew that it would kind of get people asking questions and wondering what's going on. And I don't know, I just thought it'd be funny to just have a bass up there that only has 3 strings for absolutely no reason, but I guess you know the reason now. How do I EQ my bass? Because others are just watching your video on the phone, so not much bass is heard. With EQ, I pretty much always go for like a kind of scooped EQ, which means that the bass and treble are both at around, well, actually, my bass and treble are both at 10, and my mid is at 7. So I like that because it gets you this like crisp. I don't know if you can hear that. But anyway, it gets you this nice crisp tone, which is powerful, but still bright. It's still got all of the high frequencies that you need in order to cut through and be heard, especially on phones, as most people are listening nowadays. So yeah, I have it like 10, 7, 10, bass, mid, treble. The EQ on the bass is set like that. The EQ on the quad cortex is actually fairly flat, just a little bit of a boost in the highs. And the combination of all of those things just gets you that crisp but powerful sound. All right, I'm going to answer one more question and then I have to get going. Again, remember, this bass is being given away. It's $1,500, but actually I signed it, which means that it's now worth at least $1,501. And you can enter it. You can enter this giveaway through the link in the chat. I think it's also in the description. And just make sure you do that before midnight tonight for the chance to win this awesome bite bass, which I've used in a few of my YouTube videos. Okay, last question. Where do you prefer to set your pickup balance for different styles? So usually I have my pickups, the pickup blend is just equal, neck and bridge. But in certain spots, I might use a slightly different setup. So especially when I'm tapping, but I'm tapping with a band and I want to like cut through the mix, then I will have the pickup blend slightly more towards the bridge because that picks up some more of the sort of highs and mids. And that's what you need to cut through when you're in a band setting. If you don't have that, if you have what is my usual sort of EQ and sound, which is quite sort of got some bass, but also quite a lot of treble, but not much mid, then you kind of blend in with like the hi-hats and the crashes, and you just don't have really a place in the mix. Whereas if you roll back to the bridge pickup, then you get more of those highs and mids, and then you all of a sudden start cutting through much more. The only time I go pretty hard on the neck pickup is when I'm playing something that I want to sound a bit more sort of like an acoustic instrument. Like the collab that I do with Burnt, Labyrinth, on that one I'm full neck pickup. And it's because I wanted it to have this slightly more like acoustic guitar type tone, or I guess more like a classical guitar almost. Something about the sort of more bassy frequencies up here, but playing the high pitches gives it that kind of classical guitar sound. Okay, I I've got to get going now. But guys, thank you so much for joining me on this live stream. I hope it all worked out well. This is my first one in a very long time. I don't know how the technicalities have been going, but